Hey guys, welcome back to yet another Remnant 2 video. Today we're continuing our New Game Apocalypse Archetype ranking series, where we look at each of the archetypes starting loadouts on a brand new character, and test it against roughly the first hour of an Apocalypse run. Just like before, we'll be scoring these archetypes based on 3 metrics: effectiveness, fashion, and fun factor. If you haven't seen at least part 1, I recommend starting there, since I give a more detailed explanation on what exactly these scores represent. But to quickly summarize, effectiveness is how well the character generally performs, fashion is how good the character looks while staying at blue equip weight, and fun factor is how much fun I had while playing. And just before we begin, just a few quick reminders. This score does not consider the endgame effectiveness of an archetype. This is only about a brand new character starting from scratch on the hardest difficulty. Do not use this video as a guide to theorycraft your level 20 character. Also, these tests are not performed equally across all characters. Some characters will start in different worlds as others, and therefore will encounter different challenges. Some characters are simply better under different conditions, but it's important to capture that randomness factor that is core to the Remnant experience. And of course, everything in this video is purely from my point of view, and is just my opinion. I play a lot of Remnant, so what's good for me is not necessarily good for you. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's move on to our first archetype in this video. First up for today's video is the Engineer, and their starting loadout is quite excellent. They start with the Pulse Rifle, the Rupture Cannon, and the Atom Smasher. They also start with the Technician Armor set, and their starting ability is Heavy Weapon Vulcan. The Vulcan is a deployable machine gun turret, which will automatically fire at nearby enemies. It has an unlimited duration, but has limited ammo, and once the ammo runs out, the turret will expire. It's generally very accurate, but for some reason, it struggles to hit enemies that are lower to the ground. At level 1, the turret regenerates ammo at a rate of 1.25% every second, meaning it takes approximately 48 seconds for the turret to fully recharge. The turret can only recharge ammo while it's not currently deployed, so you'll need to pick and choose when to use the turret and when to reclaim it. You can reclaim the turret by double pressing the ability button while it's active, but this has a penalty of 25% of the turret's current ammo count. At full ammo, this is the equivalent of a 12-second recharge time, so it's best to only reclaim the turret if you're sure you won't need it for that time. You can also pick up the turret and manually use it. This is called Heavy Carry, and it can be very good at higher levels. But at level 1, this is basically suicide. You'll definitely get more value out of using your own guns alongside the turret. The Vulcan's damage is pretty good, even at level 1, but the ammo capacity is quite bad, so it's unlikely you'll have the turret active for anything more than a short encounter, unless you utilize the Engineer's Prime perk. The Prime perk for the Engineer is High Tech. When activated, High Tech overclocks the turret, granting significantly increased rate of fire and damage for 15 seconds, and better yet, it also grants infinite ammo for that time as well. If activated at the right time, this can turn your turret into a huge boost of damage, absolutely destroying enemy groups, and doing significant damage to bosses. It has a lengthy 60-second cooldown, so you'll need to choose carefully when to activate the perk. Moving on to armor. To get this armor set to a usable weight, we'll need to remove the helmet and chest. Unfortunately, this looks dumb as hell, so later on we'll buy Leto's amulet and switch to the bruiser chest and survivor leggings instead. As for the rings, I thought I would change things up this time by going with the Black Cat Band and Dran Scavenger Ring. Black Cat Band because we're on Apocalypse difficulty and I don't like dying, and the Dran Scavenger Ring because it gives a small but very useful amount of health regeneration. For the starting mod, I went with Scrap Shot. Scrap Shot is a good choice because it slows groups of enemies down, giving you and the Vulcan more time to chew through targets. As an alternative option, I think Concussive Shot would have also been a good choice. Concussive Shot is great at handling groups of small enemies in close range, which honestly the Engineer kinda struggles with. Moving on to weapons. The starting long gun for the Engineer is the Pulse Rifle. The Pulse Rifle is a highly accurate burst fire weapon that can deal some impressive damage. Combined with decent range, a high rate of fire, and fast reload speed, the Pulse Rifle honestly doesn't have very many flaws. If I had to pick something to complain about, I guess you could say the spread sometimes makes it harder to hit laterally moving targets, but honestly this gun is just fantastic. As for the handgun, the Engineer starts with the Rupture Cannon. The Rupture Cannon is a semi-automatic shotgun with a 12-round capacity. It has lowish damage, but decent range and decent spread. This is essentially the kids menu version of the Bulldog. While I wouldn't call the Rupture Cannon a bad weapon, I'm always underwhelmed by just how little damage it does, especially as a shotgun. This gun is quite good when used in in-game shotgun builds, but as a level 1 starter weapon, you're just better off using the SMG instead. Moving on to the melee weapon, the Engineer starts with the Atom Smasher, and this thing is excellent. It has quick swings, deals high damage, and has a surprisingly long sweeping attack. The forward range can be a bit short, which leaves you vulnerable if you miss. But otherwise, the Atom Smasher is a great option for enemies both large and small, and is generally a great compromise between the larger Greatsword class weapons and the smaller, faster options like the Steel Sword. The boss of this run was Primogenitor. While this boss was not all that challenging, it did take quite a while to beat him, mostly because the Vulcan was choosing targets other than the boss. Regardless, the boss did go down on the first try. So with all that being said, let's review and give a score to the Engineer. First up is effectiveness. The Engineer has a very strong start. The Pulse Rifle and Atom Smasher alone make this a compelling starting choice, and if used correctly, the Vulcan turret can deal some impressive damage. The hatchery is probably the only area in the entire game where the Vulcan doesn't work too well, so it's unfortunate that we ended up with it for our Engineer run. Even still, it's clear that the Engineer is very effective, so I'm going to score it an 8 out of 10 for effectiveness. Next up is Fashion. I'll have to score this based on how the Technician set looks at Blue 8, and like I said before, I think this looks pretty dumb. So I'm giving this one a 2 out of 10. Finally, we have Fun Factor. When I reviewed the Handler and the Summoner, I gave them lower scores on Fun Factor because I typically don't find it fun having a summon or companion do all the work for me. But the Engineer is different because although the turret is basically a summon, I need to be deliberate with its placement and when to overclock it. There's some skill involved, which makes it a lot more fun to use. I think the low turret ammo hinders the fun a little bit, but I still really enjoyed playing as the Engineer. So I'm giving this one a solid 8 out of 10 on the Fun Factor scale. This gives the Engineer an overall score of 18 out of 30. Archetype number 8 is the Gunslinger, and their starting loadout is a mixed bag. They start with the Wrangler lever-action rifle, the Western Classic revolver, and the Scrap Hatchet. They get the High Noon armor set, and their starting ability is Quick Draw. When activated with a single press, Quick Draw will unleash 6 shots dealing 35 damage each. The shots are spread evenly against targets in close range. This isn't an impressive amount of damage, especially if that damage is being spread against multiple targets, but the shots have high stagger value, making this a great option for crowd control. Although sometimes the ability just doesn't target anything, even when there's enemies clearly in front of you. You can also hold and release the ability button, turning Quick Draw into a powerful single-shot attack. The attack can also deal weak spot damage, so it's highly rewarding to aim for the head. Quick Draw is an excellent ability. Having free damage on demand is incredibly valuable on Apocalypse difficulty, and the ability gets even better when paired with the Gunslinger's prime perk, Loaded. Loaded instantly reloads both of your guns, and gives you infinite ammo for 5 seconds after using any Gunslinger ability, including Quick Draw. You can shoot until both of your guns are empty, fire Quick Draw, and then immediately go back to shooting with no downtime. It'll even work if your gun is out of reserve ammo as well. This prime perk is insanely good, and easily has my vote for the best prime perk in the game. Moving on to armor, the armor set is just too cool to compromise on. So first we're going to pick up Leto's amulet from Reggie, and now we can wear the whole armor set without changing anything. We also pick up Black Cat Band, and I should have grabbed the Dran Scavenger Ring, but for some reason I didn't buy it on this run. For the starting mod, I went with Hotshot. Hotshot will give our Wrangler a big boost in damage, as well as yet another option for an instant reload. We can chain instant reloads together using both Hotshot and then Quick Draw, which will boost our damage per second even further. Moving on to weapons. The starting long gun for the Gunslinger is the Wrangler lever-action rifle. The Wrangler is a 10-shot semi-automatic rifle with great accuracy and decent damage. It has pretty good range, but the weapon spread increases with each shot, so you'll need to pace your shots to keep your aim steady. The biggest flaw in the Wrangler is its single-feed reload, which can be quite slow, but using Quick Draw or Hotshot mostly remedies this. Also, the reserve ammo is shockingly low. You'll get about 4 reloads with this ammo, which is honestly not enough. While the Wrangler may not be the best starting long gun, it's a fairly solid one overall. I like the gun. The starting handgun for the Gunslinger is the Western Classic Revolver. The Western Classic is a 6-shot semi-automatic revolver, and honestly, I don't have a lot of good things to say about this gun. Damage is pretty low, the accuracy is not great, and it has poor stopping power. But it does have pretty fast reload speed and rate of fire, considering it's a revolver. I found myself mostly using this gun when the Wrangler was out of ammo, and honestly I just didn't feel it was capable of handling enemies on Apocalypse difficulty. I would probably still take this gun over the repeater pistol, but otherwise I think this is probably one of the weaker starting handguns. Lastly, the melee weapon for the Gunslinger is the Scrap Hatchet, and this thing is just so bad. It deals low damage, has narrow swings, and a very short forward range. It nearly never deals headshots, and the charge attack doesn't really do much. The only good thing about this weapon is how fast it swings, but unless your goal is to slowly kill a single small enemy, this weapon is a serious disappointment. In my opinion, the Scrap Hatchet is the worst starting melee weapon in the game. I honestly think you might be better off just using your fists. The boss of this run was 𝐑𝗲𝐦, and this fight went fairly well. The Wrangler was accurate enough to score hits on her bombs, and Quick Draw was good at crowd control. Normally, a strong melee weapon helps here, but of course the Scrap Hatchet's low damage struggled to deal with the adds. Regardless, she went down rather quickly on the first attempt. So with all that being said, let's review and give a score to the Gunslinger. First up is effectiveness. The Gunslinger basically boils down to the question, can one decent gun and an excellent archetype be effective? And the answer is yes. Despite having only one actually good weapon out of the 3, I had very little issue completing this run, thanks to Quick Draw and the loaded perk. So for that reason, I'm giving the Gunslinger an 8 out of 10 for effectiveness. Next up is fashion. This outfit looks great, and thanks to Leto's amulet, it also fits our blue equip weight requirement. I'm scoring this one an easy 9 out of 10 for fashion. Lastly, we have fun factor. I love the Gunslinger. It feels great running through the streets, dressed like a cowboy bringing law and order to the lawless. Landing a headshot with Quick Draw never gets old. The Western Classic and Scrap Hatchet are not very fun to use, but thankfully you shouldn't need to use them very often. At least I didn't. So for that reason, I'm giving the Gunslinger an 8 out of 10 on the fun factor scale. This gives the Gunslinger an impressive overall score of 25 out of 30. And that's going to do it for this video. If you liked the video and want to see the series continued, please drop a like and let me know down in the comments below. Also, consider subscribing if you enjoy Remnant content. So as I'm sure you're all aware, Gunfire Games announced the first Remnant 2 DLC, set to be released on November the 14th. This will include a new archetype, the Ritualist, among other things, of course. Since there are 11 archetypes in the game currently, I had originally planned to make the final video in the series covering the Archon, as well as a final overview showing how all the archetypes scored in various categories. But now that there will be 12 archetypes in the game, I won't be able to fit them both and the overview in a single video. At least not without inflating the video's length so much that it'll probably turn people away. So I wanted to get your opinion on what you'd rather see. Should I include the overview, making the final video longer? Should I make a separate finale video just for the overview? Or should I just not do the overview at all? I'm making this content for you, the viewer, so in my opinion, it makes more sense to simply ask you directly. If I could make a poll on YouTube, I'd do that, but I can't, so if you're feeling opinionated, please leave a comment with your vote. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.